Hey beauties, welcome back to Surreal Beauty. I'm Tiffany, aspiring mental health clinician, and I'm so excited because I'm finally back. I haven't been missing, but a little bit of MIA, and just to let y'all know, it's been a long journey. I've officially finished grad school, so if this is the first video you're watching of me, definitely be sure to check out some of the later videos that I posted. I have been taking you all on my journey of grad school, completing my master's, what this process has been like, and it's been a lot. And so the last 2 months were definitely really hectic. It required me to step up to a higher version of myself. It required a lot more dedication, effort, and focus. And so that's what I've been dedicated myself to doing. Of course, life has been happening as well, but I would say this took a lot of my time between that and having to finishing my internship. So let's talk more about what this experience has been like. I'm so excited. We did it. So yeah, grad school. So just a quick recap. I had focused on getting my clinical mental health degree, my master's degree in clinical mental health. And basically it's a 60 credit program. So it takes about 2 years to complete. I took a hiatus about a year and a half in. So it took me maybe 2 years of a hiatus, and I've officially came back January 2024. And so it's taken me from then up until this August to just fully complete the program. And in that experience, so I transferred from one school to another school. Being that I relocated to a new spot, it just made more sense to complete my graduate program where I was located. That way, if I ever needed to get on campus and meet some of my professors face to face, I'd have that opportunity to do so. And so a lot of the classes that I took, I wouldn't say, I guess it depends when you're asking, but we're talking about my experience, right? So I wouldn't say it was hard. I wouldn't say it was difficult. I'll be honest, it was just very time consuming, tedious, and a lot of time management had to go into it, a lot of planning, organization, and structure for sure. I would say if I had to give one word of what my experience was like to complete this program, anxiety. I just think because there's so many things to do, there's so many things that you have to take account of, and you just have to make sure you get done in a timely manner, things that you have to be really proactive about. And so if you're not proactive, it can really work against you and possibly delay your chances of getting your degree. So if anything, I would say anxiety stemming from having to just be on top of everything day in and day out. Funny thing about it is when you start the program, right, you're like, oh, okay, I'm taking all these classes. This is fun. Learning about marriage and couples counseling, the human brain, how we think, how we behave. Learn about all these theories, different strategies and interventions that you can practice in the field with clients and things like that. But as you get towards the ending of the program, now you have to do what we call, or what they call, an actual internship experience. And I explained this a little bit before, but basically your internship experience is just getting real life hands-on experience. And you're lucky and fortunate enough if you can find a place where you can do this internship and get paid for it. A lot of places don't offer you to get paid, so you're having to juggle between going to school full-time or part-time, having to maintain a job if you live by yourself and you're just a regular adult like everyone else, and then doing your internship and getting your hours in. So that can get really tricky, having to balance all of those things. I'm not really one to kind of shit talk other places, other people, other things. It was an opportunity that came for me, and so I don't want to downplay it. I'll just talk about my experience just a tad bit, because I also want to shed light on how important it is to celebrate yourself, especially when you're going through something so challenging. And so I would say, as far as the demographic, I was working with addicts in recovery, recovering individuals, and that particular population, I don't believe I'm the most called to it, but it's what's the most apparent in the location that I'm at. And so also be mindful, if you're working towards your master's degree and you're doing your internship, be mindful of where you're located, because the bigger the demographic that is in your geographic location, you're more than likely going to be working with that demographic. And so I would say that I was very challenged, because I definitely see myself working more with families, couples, maybe getting into sex therapy, adolescents. I love working with adolescents and things like that. So this required me to pull out a set of skills that obviously I do possess and to learn. So I always love a challenge, but what I will say about this opportunity at this internship site was that I was able to work with families and couples. I was able to get some of that experience and I genuinely loved it. It really brought to light that I have a passion for working with families and stuff like that. And so as I pursue my LPC and I get licensed, I'm definitely focusing on getting more acquainted with working with families, couples, all the good things. And so I'll tell you a little bit about how the last semester went. And of course, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to ask me, drop in the comment box, or you can email me. I'm very open. But my last summer semester, I don't want to say it was horrible, but it required such a tremendous amount of grit from me, meaning it required me to really dig deep in and push through, because although it wasn't the ideal internship site, it definitely allowed me to get the hours that I needed. It fulfilled the requirements so that I can complete the program. So it became matter over matter. I didn't even say that right. Feelings over matter or whatever. Mind over matter. There you go. Mind over matter. So yeah, things that I just would say were not my most favorite part about the internship site was poor structure, management, organization, poor foundation. I think their heads were and their hearts were in the right place, but it just wasn't ideal for me. So a bit about my work ethic is I'm not someone who needs to be micromanaged. I'm more so like, so you have authoritative leadership styles, you have laissez-faire leadership styles, which are more laid back. Authoritarian is more like dictatorship. So I like more of an authoritative, meaning there is a leader, there's a leading team, and then they set out what the protocol is, what the guidelines are, what the expectations are, and you follow. I have no problem following guidelines, right? As long as it makes sense, it's structured, ethical, right? All these things. And then, what's the job? What do I need to get done? What's the itinerary? What's the agenda? I'm on it, And at that point, I am definitely like disciplined. My work ethic is pretty strong. So I like to work solo, but I can also work with a team as well. I don't need micromanagement. I don't need someone on my back always constantly telling me, did you do this? Did you do that? Like, I pretty much am a self-starter. So work environments that allow me to operate in that sense, I thrive the most in. Now, I found that in this particular site, there was just poor direction. And so it'd be one day it's this, the next day it's that. One day it's this, the next day it's that. And it drove me crazy. Eventually, I got to a point where once I finished my master's, once I got the hours that I needed, once I submitted all my documents, once everything was submitted, it was like, I'm going to try to stay and hold on to this for maybe as long as I can. But if it doesn't work out, it's cool. I'll probably lasted 3 more weeks after that. And I just don't do well with people just saying one thing and then doing another. I don't do well with people. I think one of the biggest things was when I was literally trying to do my work and just like asking certain questions pertaining to the job, because I was still fairly new to the system, and I would not get feedback in a timely manner. Or if I did, it was 4 or 5 days after the fact when my mind is set on something else. And so to me, overall, I would just say the organization and just the overall structure was just very poor and was not in alignment with me. And I'll be honest, like, it was a very eerie, uncomfortable, unusual environment that I was placed in. And sometimes like we always ask God, like, why am I in this situation, or why is this happening to me? Like, what am I supposed to learn? Obviously the purpose of that site was to just finish my master's, but it always was just like, why here? How did this end up being the place where I finished? Nonetheless, I finished. What I learned about the experience is that I can be placed in real difficult environments and thrive. I don't think I could stay Like, if it's not healthy and conducive to my well-being, then I gotta go, you know? So I'm not saying, oh, if you don't really like a place, just leave. You can. But what I am saying is that I just didn't like the anxiety and the frustration and the stress due to the unorganization of the team and management. You know, now if it's something like, oh, I don't really get along with this person or this coworker, I mean, you know, that's kind of everywhere, but it came down to like my job. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? You know, where am I supposed to be located? Where am I situated? Why is it's like musical chairs. Every day you come in, it's something different. You're like, what's going on? I cannot operate and thrive in environments like that. So for me, it was not conducive for my well-being. And so I just, chucked the deuces and head out. So what does life look like now? So what does this mean now that I finished my master's? What are the next steps? Thank you for asking. I'll tell you. So now, and I kind of share this about what this looks like in the process of getting your LPC. Again, your LPC is just basically licensed professional counselor. And so after you obtain your master's, it's a 60 credit hour program. Each class you take, it's 3 credits. So if you do the math, 60 divided by 3, that's how many classes you take, unless you want extra certifications. It takes about 2 years. People have done it in a year. Took me 2 years minus the hiatus. Okay. So once you complete your master's, then you have to apply to the board whatever state you're in. Each state has a counseling board. So you put your registration in with the board, your application in, so that you can take your NCE exam, which is the National Counseling Examination. This exam is what all of us have to take. Some states you have to take the NCMHCE. I believe that's the initials. Don't quote me on that, but those are the letters. But anyways, each state, you either take one or the other or both. In the state that I'm in, you have to take the NCE. You have to pass it. And once you pass it, then you get to register with the board with your provisional license status. Once you obtain your provisional license status, and that's basically simply to say you're not independently licensed yet, you still have to obtain 3,000 more hours. Yeah, you heard me. 3,000 more hours before you can get your independent license. So you finish your master's, you apply with the board, you take your exam. Then once you take your exam, now you have to find a new job, right? You have to have your supervisor. There's a certain amount of hours, so every state is different. Some states 4,000, some states 3,000, some states 2,500. You can also apply the hours that you earned from your internship to the whole 3,000 hours in my case. So I think I got about like 800 hours. So I can apply that 800 to the 3,000. So that puts me about at like 2,200 hours that I have left to obtain. So that'll take about another 1.5 years or 2. And once you complete those hours, then you can register with the board for your independent license, and bada boom, bada bam. So it's definitely a process for those that really want it. I'm at a point now where I have put my application in, and it's a waiting game. Like, you can't just schedule to take the exam when you want to. I hate that. So I put my application in last month. It's literally been a month now. And I have to wait for the board to approve me. Once they approve me, I can then schedule out when I want to take the exam. So I've been studying the purple book that I showed you guys. It's that book. I finished the book. I've been studying like crazy. So now I'm really just ready to take the exam. Once I take the exam, the board has to meet. I put my application in, everything's done, so I wait for the board to meet to give me my provisional license status. And at that point, you find a new job, which I actually have found a new job, a really good place where I can get my license or like hours and things like that. And so my goal is to stay with them for the next 2 years until I get licensed. And so all that time, you're getting so much experience and things like that, building connections, you're building your confidence, you're gaining new skill sets, things like that. You're, at this point, attending conferences, workshops, getting your name out there, meeting other people in the field that are more seasoned, maybe getting some certifications under your belt, things like that. So super exciting, on my way up. And I'm ready for this next chapter in my career. Oh yes, I know it's been a long time since I've posted, but I've been working behind the scenes, constantly continuing to think of, okay, what's next? But now, because I kind of veered into like the population in my niche, family trauma, is that I really want to get more into what family trauma is about, how others are impacted, how they're affected, how they show up in their lives as adults, how they operate. I'll even throw examples of myself, experiences that I've had that's helped shape me into the person I am today. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on, is a lot of family trauma, how couples are, impacted, as you go on from your family to, like, let's say marriage and like starting your own family, how you operate as an individual, as an adult in your life and things like that. And so if you have any questions, definitely be sure to drop them in the comment box. I'd love to respond. You can definitely feel free to email me. I'd love to respond. Definitely feel free to share this video with a loved one, with a friend. I am just looking forward to taking my time, going with the process, because I do feel, as much as I want to post and make so much like content at the same time in life, this stuff takes a lot of real effort and dedication, and so I don't want to rush it, and I just don't want to give like surfacey material and stuff like that. I want to be able to dive in fully. And so these next few weeks to come, I'm going to be focusing on some real impactful information that I can share with you guys, make it fun, make it cool. But yes, beauties, I'm so excited that you've been following me on this journey, and hold it down. We're going to continue going more. So until next time.